Well, it's been really hard over the last, I don't know, 2 months basically, watching the western part of America, the western states, and even my home state of Colorado, battling wildfires. Fires that are destroying many parts of the ecosystem, destroying homes, displacing hundreds, if not thousands, of families, livelihoods, businesses, dreams, homes being destroyed, wiped off the face of the earth, and people having to rebuild from scratch. And the devastation, the heartache of that, but also just the destruction that you see of nature. I love nature. We live here in the Rockies. Even in my own state, we've had several wildfires that have burned. Literally, like last week, we were sitting out on the porch. You know, the sky is like orange, and we're having ash raining down on the house. You know, not a ton, but a little bit. We can see it in the air and falling down, and there was a little bit on the windshields and stuff that we saw on the cars when we woke up the next morning from fire about 3 hours away from my home, but also those living particularly in like California and Oregon and parts of Washington that are dealing with those massive fires right now. It just broke my heart to see that. But I would encourage you, first off, to donate to organizations that you know that money is going to go for a good cause. You know it's going to actually get, because there's a lot of kind of sketchy stuff out there. So research a little bit before you donate, but donate to those families, to those people that have lost either family, loved ones, businesses, all that stuff. You know, you can donate to, you know, the Forest Service and do that for the firefighters to help them. I think that's important, particularly in this time, to help others, you know, and not just go, oh, well, the government's got it. Let's step up as a community of people who care for others and just take care of people. So I just encourage you to do that. My family's going to do that. We're going to donate some money to just help those displaced families that are dealing with that here in the western part of America. And it got me thinking that even though there's so much destruction, hurt, pain, destruction of the ecosystem, livelihoods with wildfires, there's also a benefit. And I want to talk about just the natural aspect for just a moment, but also talk about even how I think each one of us has wildfires that sometimes rage in our own lives, that burn up stuff in our own lives, but it may be painful in the moment, living through, if you will, a quote unquote wildfire moment. But what it does can really help change our perspective on life, maybe send us in a new direction. So I just want to break that down for us. First off, on the natural aspect, I looked it up just online, you know, what are some of the top benefits and just as well as just informational aspects to wildfires. The first is this: fire is a part of the natural cycle of many ecosystems. So it's a natural course. And even think about that in your own life. When things are maybe getting burned up, things maybe that you built, things that have been standing for a very long period of time, that are majestic, beautiful, that connect with you, and in your own life even, that may be burning down or destroyed. That's a natural course sometimes of life. About 100 cloud-to-ground lightning bolts touch the earth every single second, and about 24,600 fires are started by lightning each year. That's a ton. Now, with that being said, approximately 4 out of 5 forest fires are started by humans. So be smart. You know, I love a campfire. I love doing all that. It's one of the best things in the world, but also be smart. Don't be an idiot and, you know, building fires when you shouldn't be, and take the proper precautions, you know, to check wind conditions, check the, you know, area around you. You know, is stuff going to start a grass fire, and then, you know, do whatever, and don't be a moron and, you know, set fireworks off in the woods, you know, or whatever. And particularly when the woods around you are a tinderbox like much of the West. The next one: naturally occurring forest fires and intentional controlled burns help prevent larger fires from clearing away by clearing away underbrush that easily burns. So that's a good thing. Controlled burns or naturally occurring forest fires, oftentimes they'll burn off a lot, even if it's happening more regularly, they'll burn off a lot of the undergrowth so that a bigger fire doesn't happen. And that is a major problem right now with much of how land management is done here in the West, is that we don't allow a lot of controlled burns, or almost any. We often put out fires, like natural occurring fires, faster than we should, because of a lot of bureaucratic red tape, basically. And in turn, over the last 40, 50 years, we have caused not only an unhealthy growth of not letting new growth happen in our forests, but also allowing this brush and dead wood to grow so thick and become such a problem that when there is a fire, it's not controllable, it's uncontrollable and destroys so much more than it should have, and because we're not allowing the natural cycle to occur right now. So there definitely needs to be some serious reevaluating and new things happening with our land management here in the West on how to easily be able to do controlled burns, easily mitigate forest fires and allow certain forest fires to go on instead of just trying to tamp them out right away. And we will, I think, have less of these issues and less of these problems. Number 5, a crown fire is one that burns quickly across the tops of trees. Didn't know that. A surface fire burns dead leaves, brush, making more room for animals like moose and deer to pass through. Fires move faster when traveling uphill. Didn't know that, so don't try to run uphill and outbeat a forest fire. They actually will beat you. And a fire tornado can form when winds around a fire begin to spin. While many animals are displaced by forest fires, burned clearings can become perfect homes for species that benefit from sunlight and nutrient-rich soil. A large enough fire can produce its own weather system. So that might be even what's happening right now over in certain parts of California and those areas. On average, 1.2 billion acres of forest burn in the United States each year. 1.2 billion acres burn every year. And then the final one I'm going to share with you is lodgepole pine trees love forest fires. The extreme temperatures allow them to release seeds from their otherwise tightly sealed cones. So it's actually a natural thing that certain pine trees love because it allows them to produce new seed. And so this is the final thing I just want to kind of leave with you. One, just want to give you some fun facts that I learned about fires just thinking about this, but now really bringing it home to our own personal lives. That I believe for all of us, there is always occurring dead, if you will, brush, leaves, fallen trees in our lives. Just junk that is dead but is taking up space. It's not allowing new things to grow, and it needs to be burned away. And that can come through many different forms. Sometimes it's an easy thing and it's a controlled burn, and you're like, yeah, that needs to go in my life, and I'm going to do things to mitigate and get rid of that and burn that up and pass it on. But there are other things that maybe, you know, the loss of a job and the loss of a loved one, the changing of a career to something that maybe you weren't planning, you know, a loved one maybe not being in love with you anymore, and they're trying to put separation, maybe divorce, you know, whatever. I mean, there's so many things that we can look at in our lives. Dreams that we thought would happen, maybe injuries. You know, you were very physical, and then you've had an injury that you feel is debilitating, or a disease that is debilitating, and so it's burned up a lot of your dreams, your hopes, things that you wanted to see happen, and it can be very, again, devastating, depressing, and cause pain in the moment. But I would encourage you to think of it this way: that as those things burn out of your life, there is the potential for great growth, for new dreams to be emerged, new direction, new vision, new perspective, new values on life when certain things are burned up. And I think as much as possible, it's good to do our own controlled burns, you know, get rid of things, see and assess all the time. Is this the best job to be in? Is this the best friendship to have? Is this the best way to spend my time? Maybe it's not. I need to, you know, throw that in the burn pile and let it be a controlled burn. But even if it's not our doing and something is being burned up and destroyed in our life, I would encourage you to take heart and ask yourself what can be planted in its place, what can grow in its place, and not to look at all the burned out devastation, but think of the nutrients being put into the soil of your life that has the potential to grow brand new hopes, dreams, and visions in your life. So that's just my little word of encouragement for you guys. I hope it's motivational, encouraging, and this is just something I've been kind of thinking about, and there's definitely some controlled burns I'm trying to do in my own life right now, but there's some things that are out of my control that are burning up in my life that maybe I'll share with you in the future, you know, that I need to let go and not be frustrated or depressed about or angry at, but allow them to be burned up and then view it as now we have potential to do something brand new that I would never have let grow on its own because of the dead stuff that were taking up its space and not giving it a place to grow. So guys, thanks so much for joining me today on this little thought experiment, if you will, and be praying and be supportive of those people who are physically experiencing the cost of the wildfires right now here in America. Love you guys. Check out the other video popping up. Subscribe if you're not a current subscriber. Throwing up stuff like this all the time. You guys are amazing. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook as well. And always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.